Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty World War II. Welcome back to the beta, ladies and gentlemen. Call of Duty World War II has received an update today for both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. For the PlayStation 4, it was a very small update and nobody really knows what it contained. It didn't change the game whatsoever, it's still only playable offline. And for Xbox users, if you have an early copy of the game, you can now play it. You can now play the campaign, you can now play multiplayer against bots, you can now play zombies. It's basically the same update that PlayStation users got yesterday. So more players have access to the game if they have an early copy, which means that in the coming days, we are very likely to see a lot more news and information coming our way by the very nature that even more people are now playing Call of Duty World War II early. The big controversy right now, and I'm sure you guys have already heard about this, is it appears that Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer will have only 9 standard maps at launch. Previously, we thought we were going to have 12 of them. If we looked inside the PC beta game files, there were 12 standard multiplayer maps in there, but it appears that some of those maps that we saw in the beta's game files are being cut and repackaged by Activision as DLC maps. We know this because at the end of today's Quarantine bonus map trailer, which if you guys haven't checked that out yet, I'll put a link to it down there in the video's description. At the very end of it, they revealed to us that the first DLC for this game is going to be called Resistance. It's going to be releasing for PlayStation 4 first on January 30th, and they also gave us this map here, which hints where the DLC maps are going to be located, and 2 of these locations are locations that were in the game's beta files. Wolf's Lair is located in northeast Poland. It was actually Hitler's first military headquarters in World War II. It's marked by the Polish flag here on this map. Paris is, of course, Paris, and it's located in northern France, and as you guys can see, it's marked on this map by the blue French resistance symbol. Both of those maps were in the beta game files, yet here we can see, plain as day, they are going to be in the first DLC for Call of Duty World War II. Now, it is worth mentioning that some other maps were also in the beta game files that are still nowhere to be seen. U-Turn and Operation Aachen come to mind, and it is possible, I want to make this very clear, it is possible we will see more maps added to the game when the servers themselves actually go live. But even if that does happen, even if we do have 12 standard maps by default when the game actually launches, the fact that Activision has taken maps from the beta's game files and locked them away as DLC is disgusting to me. If these maps were in the beta game files, they should be shipped standard with the game. There's no excuse for it whatsoever. There should not be DLC maps appearing within the beta game files. No ifs, ands, or buts. How freaking ridiculous is that? A lot has been stirred up about this, obviously, rightly so, right? Some fans are expressing their outrage online, while other fans are seemingly defending Activision's practices by saying, don't like it, don't play it. Either don't buy the game or stop complaining. And here's where I stand on the subject. The notion of voting with your wallet does not work with a game as big as Call of Duty. I know people do not want to hear that, but it's the honest truth. Activision does not care if a few thousand people or even 10,000 people don't buy the game out of protest. Even if 100,000 people do not buy Call of Duty World War II this year, that is just a drop in the bucket for a series that routinely sells over 10 million copies a year and is typically the best-selling title of any given year, bar 2 of them, the last 2 Infinity Ward games, right? To simply say, don't like it, don't play it, and tell fans that they should cancel their pre-order and stop complaining is not a productive way of thinking. It's an asinine way of thinking. All that does is tell the most passionate and loyal fans of the franchise that their opinion does not matter and they should just leave the series if they don't like what Activision's doing. What kind of line of thinking is that? Those fans have every right to speak out against Activision. They shouldn't have to quit the franchise that they love so much just because you are okay with being nickel and dimed and having content locked behind paywalls and supply drops and stuff like that. That's a terrible way of thinking. The fans that are just speaking out against Activision, they are in the right, and people who are just sitting idly by and not caring what happens, they are the people who are actually the problem. They're the reason why Activision continues to do stuff like this. The best thing we can do as consumers and as fans is bring as much attention to this issue as possible. Every bit helps, whether that's making YouTube videos like this, speaking out against Activision and their business practices, or whether that's writing a forum post on Reddit or on the Activision page itself, or even leaving negative reviews for the game. Every little bit helps. It's not going to be an immediate change, but just as Total Biscuit said in a recent episode of the H3 podcast, AAA is beholden to the shareholders, and shareholders do not like to see a lot of negativity online. If they see the reviews for this game in the tank, if they see a lot of negative videos online, online, they see a lot of forum posts and articles being written about how poorly the game is being received thanks to these business practices, they are going to question Activision, and maybe then some change is going to happen. The worst thing we can do as consumers and as fans is just to sit back and watch as the franchise continues to be overtaken by microtransactions and DLC. I truly believe, and I think people will disagree with this, but I truly do believe that Call of Duty's business model would be much, much worse if it were not for this community right here, always pushing back against Activision every step of the way. Is it a great solution to our problem? No, it really isn't. But as fans and as consumers, we do not have a ton of power. This is what we can do. We can push back and make sure Activision knows we are not happy with their business practices, and maybe their shareholders will see that, and maybe over time things will get better. I mean, things have already gotten slightly better. If you look back at where the Call of Duty business model was a couple of years ago, I would say what we have right now is slightly better than that. It's getting better, and it's going to continue to get better over time, but that's not going to happen if we sit back and just let Activision do whatever they want and start blaming hardcore fans who are the lifeblood of this series for Activision's mistakes. Those fans are not the problem. They are the victims, and we need to start treating them as such. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to go on much longer ranting about this. I know some people love rant videos. I know some people hate rant videos. It's a very polarizing topic. So I'm going to end it there. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section below, and we're going to move away from that now to some news, to some leaks, and to some information about Call of Duty World War II that is not necessarily about the map count and what Activision may or may not be doing with their DLC. So first things first here, we have a full basic training list for Call of Duty World War II, which looks incredible. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out, I'll put a link to it down there in the video description. You can read every basic training that's actually going to be in the game, and I think that divisions are going to be good this year. You know, a lot of people were worried that divisions were going to be bad because you were going to be forced to say, for example, if you're someone like me who loves to play like hardpoint and domination and big objective kill modes, you were going to be forced to play the armor division, right? Because that's the only way in the beta you could protect yourself from explosives. Well, in there, you can see there is the hunker basic training, which is going to allow you to take less damage from explosives. You have the inconspicuous basic training, which is going to allow you to move faster while crouching, as well as have silent movement. That's pretty good for search and destroy, right? You are not going to have to play the mountain division if you want to have silent footsteps. So definitely pretty good. If you guys would like to check them out, once again, link to all the basic trainings down there in the video's description. Next up, we have a little bit more controversy to discuss, but it's not as bad as the maps, I would say. It's involving zombies. And I promise there will be no spoilers here whatsoever, but there is somebody out there who has already completed one of the Easter eggs for the zombies mode. And this has people worried because Sledgehammer has said that the zombies Easter egg this year is going to be the hardest Easter egg we've ever seen, and somebody's already completed one of them. But it appears the Easter egg he completed was either part of the main overall Easter egg or a side Easter egg. It's not like the full main big Easter egg, which I think is good news for everybody. And if you guys would like to learn more, he's actually doing an Ask Me Anything over on Reddit where he's answering a bunch of questions from fans. So if you do care to spoil yourself, and if you do want to actually find out some more information, go ahead. I'll put a link down there in the description where you guys can go ahead and read that for yourselves. I'm trying to avoid most spoiler things. Like when it comes to the multiplayer, spoil me all you want. It's a multiplayer, right? But when it comes to like zombie Easter eggs and zombie story and campaign story, I'm trying to avoid that stuff, and I think most of you guys are as well. But for those of you guys that do want to spoil yourself, once again, I'll put a link to that down there in the video's description. Next up, Sledgehammer Games is allowing people to play Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer on PC early, and it's not as evil as you think. So this happens pretty much every single year. They are allowing people who are reviewers to play the multiplayer early so they can write their reviews and have their review ready to go when the game launches on release night. Now, obviously, we're jealous that they're actually playing, but I will say that it actually seems like it's a good sign that they're actually allowing these review sites and these review people to play the multiplayer early, because that means they're confident in their product, right? I will say that I had a good time with the PC beta for World War II. It took me a little bit to actually configure all the settings to make sure everything ran properly, but once I was actually in the game and it was stable, it was a fun experience. So of course, there were lots of hackers and lots of problems in that respect, but they claim that they're going to have that all resolved for launch, and we're going to have to see. This may be the year that Call of Duty on PC turns around. I don't think it's going to be the year where COD on PC is completely revitalized and booming again, but this could be the first step in a long journey that gets people playing Call of Duty on PC again. Fingers crossed, because it's been a long time since Call of Duty on PC was relevant. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have some news from Twitch here. Twitch has issued a statement about live streaming Call of Duty World War II early. It says right here that Call of Duty World War II will be available for broadcast on November 2nd, 6 a.m. Pacific per Activision. Streams before then may be subject to takedown. But what's interesting about this is they have actually since removed this tweet, so we don't know if that's still actually in effect. Are they changing the rules? Does Activision just not want people knowing they can actually stream the game early? We don't know right now, but they did tweet that out. They have since removed it. I want to make sure you guys are aware of that, because chances are on November 2nd, that is when we are going to start seeing live streams and early videos being posted to YouTube. I think once the game goes live in New Zealand, it's then okay for people to start posting on YouTube, but don't quote me on that. That's just what I think and what I remember from previous years. But we're going to have to see how it plays out, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, thank you all so much for listening. Let me know your thoughts on all of today's subjects down there in the comment section below. And once again, if you have not yet caught the Quarantine bonus map trailer, you can find a link to it at the end of this video, as was down there in the video's description. But once again, guys, thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.